investigation report. We had a little talk about the possibility of people working with JP Morgan and some of the board members coming forward on Monday.
Right.
So let me give you a little bit of an update on that. It was quite the, to put it in a nice way, kerfuffle.
Yeah.
We had people go into Manhattan on Monday, and they were not allowed in the building, even though the board members called them and asked them to be there. How interesting is that? So you're saying the board of JP Morgan Chase asks for a meeting with someone, and then security for the building doesn't let them in. So they called up to the board members and said, you know, we're here, but we're not being let in. They tried to, the board of the bank tried to convince the security, and we'll talk about who they are in a minute, the security people to let them in and that they requested the meeting. And security told the board, no.
Oh my gosh. Oh, well, that means there's someone in charge of all of it that has the control.
Yep. Security equals control. Let us not forget. So the board members that asked for the meeting ended up coming down, and they went to another smaller site of the bank down the street. Now, still, nobody was allowed to, they were followed by the same security people, and the same security people said no. And so we started having a conversation with these security people saying, hey, are you getting paid? You know, who's paying you? You know, those types of things, and asking all the right questions, even though we already kind of knew the answers. One thing we did find out is the security personnel, the company itself, has not been paid by the people who placed the order to not allow them into the bank. So in other words, they are behind 6 months in their payments.
Wow. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
That's a lot.
Yeah, 6 months, no payments. You know, you overhear an awful lot when you're sitting there, you know, watching people argue about whether or not someone can go upstairs to a meeting room or not.
Yeah.
So this went on throughout the day. The deposit itself was put on a 2-hour hold while we could get people to the bank. And then it was put on another 2-hour hold as they went to another area. And we were trying to figure out how that happened. It became apparent on who was actually giving the orders and why security personnel were told not to let us up there. So let's talk about who they are. Mm-hmm. The company is a private security firm. They are located out, this is company number one, located out of New York. The name of the company is called Citadel. You can look them up. Citadel was formerly, I don't know the involvement of the fake Clinton family, but they were reporting at one point in time and were given the power by Hillary Clinton and the Clinton administration back in the day to have all of the security contracts for all of the major banks in New York City, the banking hub of the United States, and I would say one of the major banking hubs of the world. Of course, you have London and a few other cities people know as hubs. And they, you know, had billions and billions of dollars in contracts. They secure the Treasury building in New York. They also secure the Federal Reserve in New York, as well as I understand it, they do have some contracts in DC as well, more surrounding the United Nations, you know, the IMF, and some of the other buildings there as well. So the people that are protecting government, alleged government, and let's call them NGOs like the Federal Reserve they are a private entity taking orders from a private group. Now, currently, you may not know this, and if you don't, I'm going to tell you anyway. The Clinton family, Hillary, is actually a member of the Order of the Blue Dragon, as was Barbara Bush. You could consider these people Rothschilds by a different name. Bill, on the other hand, is a member of the Order of the Black Sun. So Hillary giving orders to, forming and giving government contracts to the company called Citadel is no surprise here. So Citadel and the second organization that participated in this event on Monday was called the Senior Executive Service. Now, this is a new one. Most people think it's a government agency, but it's not. It's also a civilian force that allegedly works together with the United States government and government agencies for the security of the United States. But that is a lie. They were also formed by the British arm of the Order of the Dragon as well. And they are in the White House, they are in the Treasury, Department of Treasury, they are in the Capitol building, they are everywhere. So now, if Hillary's not actively participating, and she's not the one that made the phone call for sure, who made the phone call? The answer to the question here is the Chinese deep state, the Rothschilds. Everybody called, and then there was another member of the Order of the Red Dragon that also participated. Everybody called them and said, whatever you do, do not let this money go through, and do not let this person in the building. Mm-hmm. The board members of the bank were perplexed. You know, they're under the impression, look, there's new money. You know, the Fed hasn't paid us like they said. You know, we're not getting paid from the Order of the Dragon. You know, most of these people are related in some way, shape, or form. And so the new money came in. Now we want to talk. We want to save the bank. We're in deep trouble, deep, deep trouble. But that is not permitted. It is not permitted to save the bank. And it is not permitted to save the US government, because the orders for this are coming out of Britain and the Rothschild family and the Crown group of families, because they don't all bear the same last name, and also the Chinese. Because why? Because that transition of power I keep warning everybody about is what they're going for. They would like to crash the United States, crash the dollar. You crash the dollar, you crash the economy of the planet, and take everything over. Well, I wish someone would listen. You know, they appeal to people's ego. The other thing that happened yesterday is I had a group of people at the Pentagon trying to hack into the key intelligence and military system. Mm-hmm. So I rang them back on the diplomatic line. And I said, what are you doing hacking my system? And you know who I got? I got General Milley.
Oh, fun.
Oh,
he's
fun.
A favorite. Yeah. Yeah.
I know. He's and he told me he needed access to, in order to secure the national security of the United States. And I said, so what you're telling me is that all of a sudden, the Chinese people that you're taking orders from are you're going to tell me that, and I can give you a list of every time you picked up the phone for those people and the Iranians and everyone else, that you need access to my system that I built so you can secure the United States. And I said, quite frankly, sir, I said, you don't know beep about protecting the United States at all. So don't give me that crap. Go back and tell those people that I firmly said to flip off. Especially after the events of the day before.
Yeah.
So in a nutshell, most of the security or the control of the banks right now, and preventing the banks in the United States in totality, not just in the city of New York, although it is a hub, obviously, from surviving, is essentially the same people in part that assisted in building them back in the 1800s and early 1900s. Mm-hmm. Why? Because they want to move the Federal Reserve to Hong Kong. I heard that in 2013. They're going to crash the United States. They're not going to dissolve the Federal Reserve. They are going to move it to Hong Kong, where it's under their control. And now they're going to control the world from there. Hence the repeated attempt to lodge new agreements in the Hall of Records for the central bank digital currency. Constantly, constantly, constantly. And the attempt on, how do I say, convincing the world that this is a good idea. There is even a paper that's been circulating around, coming from the World Bank and the IMF, saying they're going to have a universal currency, digital currency. It's never going to happen. But it's proving to be a useful tool for the Chinese deep state at the moment. The Chinese deep state is actually selling now to your elite corporates, their elite corporates, you know, the arrogant people, the new US digital dollar wallets. So they give them real money, US dollars, in exchange for fake money that's never going to be cashable and never going to be usable. But yet the Chinese are now using that money to continue their operations because I told you they were broke. That's how broke they are.
They're just stealing. That's just stealing.
It is stealing. But, you know, if you're stealing from a bunch of elite, you know, corporates, you know, like, you know, big families, DuPont families, the ones running 3M, all of these people, right. You know, hey, do we care? They've been stealing from us, you know, one way or another for years. Yeah. So, well, you know, all it's doing is going to perpetuate the cycle. Are they ever going to get enough money from these people collectively as a group to actually survive and complete a global takeover? No, never going to happen. So, hey, you know, do what you got to do. You know, kill your own is basically what they're doing. They're taking the low-hanging fruit in the order, and they're taking everything they've got now too. So, yeah. You know, I feel like I'm in a Trading Places movie. This is hilarious almost. So, how much longer are their widgets? I'm going to call them the widgets, their tools. These are, you know, your Millies and the people in Congress that are listening, going to continue playing the game. Now, let's talk a little bit more about the game. We did report that the Taiwanese head of state was in the U.S., last week? I don't know if you saw that. You know, they convinced the U.S. that China's going to take them over, you know, so on and so forth. For those of you that know your history, you'll remember the story of Chiang Kai-shek and Mao and all of that happened back in the day. And we're repeating the same thing over and over again here. Now, they are enlisting the U.S. To create tension so that they can create World War III. Again, this is being promoted out of the Chinese deep state for their total and complete takeover. So they're inciting the U.S. to go over to Taiwan and to protect Taiwan, just like the past. You know, Chiang Kai-shek, here we go again, you know, same story, different day. And then China will be forced to attack the U.S. on Taiwanese soil, and now we're going to end up in World War III. But again, you're talking about a bill of $6.7 trillion that no one is prepared to pay. So they think by siphoning little bits of money, and it is little bits, a few $billion here from this person or that person, they buy it at a discount, it's going to be worth this. Sounds like the dinar to me. How long has that been going on? You know, in the words of Rothschild themselves, from Mayor Rothschild, from his lips to my ears, the revaluation of the dinar currency is like carrots, and I'm going to say this bad word, so I'm very sorry. I know this is the news. To quote him, carrots for jackasses. So this is exactly what the Chinese is doing now to everybody else. It's just a different currency. We have to get something for free. So we're going to send you, sell you monopoly money, and I'm going to tell you to keep it in a safe place because it's going to be worth something someday. And they're trading wallets for wallets, and nobody's getting anywhere.
Right.
There is an NSA company I think it's called DCMA, which also happens to be the same initials of the company that is promoting the universal digital currency. They're calling it the Digital Currency Management Association or something. But it's the same company. They do a lot of the cybersecurity for government websites and all of that, and a few other what they consider to be partner organizations with the NSA. So the NSA is also taking orders from the Chinese. That has not changed. They talked about walking away at the end of last week, and you've got about, honestly, somewhere between 50 to 70% on any given day of the people within the military, within the governments, plural, within the banks, plural, that are wanting to do something else. This is not working. The promises aren't holding up. So they're just trying to hold it all together until they believe they can complete this full-on economic crash, which is due to happen by June, in their mind. Now, will there be a full economic crash? The answer to the question is no. It's not going to happen. But the thing that is happening is their economic crash is coming. If you are listening to this and you're with the Chinese deep state, you do understand that we watched all this happen, right? So we can actually take that money from you at any given moment in time. Of course we can, and we're going to. Because why? That's who we are. You don't need anything. Right now you're a little bit unruly, and you actually caused one of my team members pain in New York on Monday. And for that reason, you get nothing. You keep pushing us, and I say us, I'm talking about hundreds of thousands of us, as we've talked about before, to the limit. I'm telling you, the patience is wearing thin on our side of it for their existence on this planet. Just because you give orders indirectly, and people die, doesn't mean that you're absolved anymore like it used to be. Right. That's how it used to be back in the day. Your power actually meant something. So although they're still threatening people with their power. Speaking of power, did you know General Milley has been promised the position of Black Eagle? Remember Bush Sr.'s old position? Oh, yes, he's be the official Mr. Black. And they pumped up his ego, told him how wonderful he is and all of that, and that he's going to be taking over for the entire Order of the Black Sun worldwide. Now, first of all, that's a lie. That's a complete and total lie. The people that told him that are the same Chinese deep state members that don't have any power to actually make that happen.
And not only that, but the person in the Mr. Black position doesn't stay alive very long.
No, they don't.
I mean, maybe we encourage that, and I don't know. But if I were Millie, I'd be like, I don't think I want that position.
I'm not so sure I want to take that seat. No. It's a hot seat,
Very hot seat.
Very hot seat. Well, there's no such thing. They don't have a way to register this person in the Hall of Records. Even though they've been trying repeatedly in the last 48 hours, those same codes, remember the dry cleaner, Mr. Lee?
Yeah.
From that was running the Maywa at the time, or the Mayflower organization. Those codes still don't work. They've still been trying them, though. No one's officially wanted to take that position because they do know it's a death wish. But that doesn't mean they're not trying. Wow. Now, for the 50 to 70% on any given day, because, there's always a squirrel, and some 20% of them will drop off, but go back to the other side. For those people, it's every man for himself. in herself, every woman for herself at this point in time. You have the ability to make and choose and make different decisions. Now, as for the people with the banks in New York, obviously you have a situation here where you have a foreign government guarding American banking facilities, including government buildings such as the Department of Treasury in New York.
Mm-hmm.
So they have access to all the cameras. They have access to all the information. They know exactly how much money the U.S. has and has in the banking facilities. They know exactly what's going on in the Federal Reserve. They know they know exactly when Mr. Powell is doing their work. He talks to them nearly 3 times a week, the people who are giving them orders to the security people. And he says whatever they tell him to say. And of course, he's also promised visions of grandeur in the new Federal Reserve in Hong Kong. Ask him about it. You know, he'll be a king over here in China, all of this type of stuff, look, we're looking forward to your move over here and you're going to be in charge of everything forever. Ha ha ha. When you can't pay people, you give them promises of grandeur, and the ego will not let it go. The ego is a terrible thing, because if you didn't have that big of an ego, you would say to yourself, well, they've been promising me this for years. The plan was to get this done by last year. You're obviously about 4 months overdue now, and still nothing is happening. Our central bank digital currency does not appear when you say it's going to appear. Nothing actually happens. All of these agreements are getting rejected by the Hall of Records. And clearly, no one has asked themselves once, are they really in control? If they were in control of all of this stuff, then why wouldn't they have given Millie access to it? Why would he have to hack? They should have given him access. After all, he was going to be the grand poobah. Of all militaries worldwide, I'm in charge of everything. I'm the king of the world. I'm sure he probably says that every night, when he goes to bed. I'm going to be the king of the world. I'm going to be very powerful. Ha ha. But it never pans out.
Yeah.
And you're still getting me on the phone. Still me. So, is there people still in the United States listening to them? The answer to the question is yes. This is the cause of your issues in the Middle East. Create the problem, be the solution. Create peace, Saudi Arabia, with Yemen. Create peace with Iran. Create peace between the Shia and the Sunnis. Create the peace in the Middle East. Well, I'm going to call the Americans and tell them to tell you to stop. And then I'm going to call my other friends in Israel, and I'm going to drive them to cause a problem with your peace agreement.
Wow.
It's an old game. It's very easy, very predictable. They are not doing anything new. Everything is the exact same procedure that they've gone through over and over again. The Russians do it a little differently. The Chinese do it a little differently. The Americans are a little different than them. But they're very predictable. It's very easy to spot, very easy to find, and very easy to dismantle. So, bottom line, there are ongoing talks behind the scenes right now about bringing in McCarthy as head of state.
So McCarthy, not the McCarthy?
Yeah, Kevin McCarthy.
Oh, bring in
McCarthy,
the Kevin
Speaker of
McCarthy.
the House.
Okay. I thought maybe
Yep.
somebody like him or something, but it's the Kevin McCarthy. Okay.
Yeah, the Chinese operatives. Now, remember, Langley is split into several different parts. One section, Langley 2, let's call them, the operative section, the higher, not the desk people, the operative section, is absolutely under the control of Rothschild and the Order of the Black Sun. I'm sorry, the Order of the Dragon in China. So these people are busy selling McCarthy on the fact that he should be a head of state and what that means to his boss, not the American people, but the Chinese. Now, the Team Trump people are aware of the falling numbers. It looks like there's a lot of support, depending on what circle that you run in, but there's not a lot of support for what's going on there anymore because there's been too many failed promises.
Mhm.
Even in the military as well, they're figuring out this isn't who you thought he was. So they're trying to find another Republican person to put in there. They're even having the Kennedy family run. Here we go again. We got the Bush clan, the Kennedy clan, all different operatives still running around, still alive, still making a go for it. But if we were to make a vote for an alternative person that could be put in a quick way, I still like Jill Stein. I'm still telling you I do. She's strong. She's in line with the restoration plan. She ran for president before. It wouldn't be a surprise if she ran again in the new selection. And, the thing that she doesn't have is a group of operatives supporting her. But she could.
Right.
If all the money was coming from us, she could. America was going to have a first female president. I'd rather have it be her than Hillary.
Yeah. And just to reiterate, this is a temporary thing. We're not advocating for more government overreach and, control and nanny state stuff.
No.
This is transitional.
Well, it would be transitional. Yeah. Because at this moment in time, we understand what we're talking about. We understand there's a different way, but you're going to put the rest of the American people, those a few 100 million people, you're going to put them in a full-on panic.
Yep.
They're going to go, there's probably about 50, 60 million people that are going to go into a full-on panic when Trump doesn't get back into office.
Mm-hmm.
What about my Trump bucks? My Trump bucks, my Trump reserve bank cards and all the other things they're selling. Well, the Chinese is selling their own version of China bucks, these days. So you can get some of those and go, keep going with the Savior program. Like someone's going to come save you. How much longer are the remaining members of the order in the United States going to listen? Before someone somewhere, be it the good people in the U.S. military, right now you've got treason going on U.S. soil. You have a group that are an NGO. There's private citizen groups, 2 of them, literally taking orders from your enemy. When you claim in the media and in Congress that you're going to declare war against China, World War III is imminent, all of these types of things, but yet you gave them government contracts and they're here.
Mm-hmm.
They may not look Chinese to you, but they're taking orders from the very people that are burning your country to the ground. And in turn, if the dollar goes, the whole world is going to burn. I keep repeating this because we are the only ones that are not letting it happen. Where are you people? Is power that important from people that have no authority to deliver that power, to deliver that promised position? They have no money, and they're so desperate for money themselves right now that they are literally selling fake currency to their elite special friends to get a few $billions just to keep alive. China's a big country. They've drained their country. They drained the People's Bank. They've drained the treasury over there. It's drained.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't understand. Amel, ego makes you blind.
Can, yeah.
What do you mean I'm not the chosen one? You've been telling me I'm the chosen one. Why am I not the chosen one? Makes you make some really stupid, decisions. And I'm sure we've all made some decisions in our life, in our young life, that have been based on some way, shape, or form of, from our ego. And maybe not to the degree of these people, because I don't think any of you have ever had an ego of that size. But you would think, I'm qualified for this position. I'm going to get the promotion. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. I can get this part done. And then, you start to get into it and you're like, I can't put that together, or whatever that is. Those are tiny little ego decisions that we've made, in our lives, I'm talking on a smaller scale. But, sometimes you need help doing something, don't you?
Yeah.
I can't carry that, and then your ego says, I can carry that giant, whatever it is, up this 4 flights of stairs. I've got this. And then you're laid up in bed for 4 days because your back is killing you. But your ego told you it's okay. I'm going to impress my wife, my children, my friend Bill that's carrying the other sofa up the stairs, or whatever it is, but all it does is land you into this type of place. Well, those are small ego decisions. Imagine what the world is going to look like if these ego-based decisions continue with these puppets like Powell and Milley and other people in Congress, and we'll leave it at that. The solution is simple. We need to secure production contracts. I'm repeating myself, so hopefully it'll sink into these people. We need to secure those production contracts. We need to support the dollar. We need to get off using the dollar as a global currency. We need to change. If China wants to take down the world, secure your own house, and stop listening. The Federal Reserve does not own the dollar. I will repeat myself. It says Federal Reserve note on there, but the Federal Reserve does not control the dollar. They do not own the dollar. They do not issue new dollars. They don't have a contract with the government to issue United States currency anymore. We have the allocation numbers. They're in the global repository. We have the capability to issue new currency, any currency in the world. Matter of fact, we can even issue new RMB. We can issue RMB in the market until the cows come home. What does that mean? This is a direct response to the idiocracy that is happening in the financial system right now, and a direct response to the Chinese deep state. We can issue British pounds into the system at a rapid rate. Within 24 hours, I can flood the market, the entire Commonwealth, with British pounds. I can flood every British pound bank, accepting bank in the United States. I can flood every bank that they tried to tie the SIP system to, the China payment system to, including banks in the United States, with so much RMB, I will crash both currencies. That is control. So I'm telling you right now, to the people that are running alleged security and alleged control, taking orders from the Chinese, take this back to your boss, because I will do it. I have moved nuclear weapons around. I have done a lot of different things in the name of this game to stop these daft, idiotic, egotistical, order of the dragon people from crashing the world. Mm-hmm. You want to crash China? Right now, they're in no position to crash the world. If you crash the British pound and you crash the RMB, they are in no position to crash the entire world. As protectionism at this point. It's the protection of your life or the life of an innocent. But the dollar is going to survive until such time we have enough production contracts to support the amount of currency in circulation. Then we can start moving away from dollar dependency globally and move to a multipolar world. But if the RMB crashes, no one cares. Maybe Russia might care. Maybe Brazil, a few other countries, they're selling that crap too. But No one's going to care. And the only thing it's going to do is going to burn your country to the ground. Now, I don't want to see anything bad happen to the Chinese people. Don't get me wrong. But right now, there's nothing anyone in that country can say or do to the deep state there to get them to realize this isn't working. And it's the only thing I can really think of that might slap Powell into the head, or Milley, or any these other people that are running around the US right now trying to help them crash the country. You know, feel free to make suggestions. But at this moment in time, that is on the table, and it's on the table in the next 24 hours, and the clock is ticking. You want to keep on with the economic assassination of planet Earth? I'm coming for you. And if I said it out loud, you know I always do what I say. If I don't have a time frame of something, I tell you I don't have a time frame. I tell you I don't know. But I'm going to tell you right now that I know I can do. And I'll do it in a heartbeat. I'll make your own people come after you for crashing your own country. And then I'll fix it for the rest of the Chinese people and for the rest of the British people and the rest of the Commonwealth. Easy breezy. Boom. I can break it in less than 24 hours, and I can make it in less than 24 hours. 2 days, no big deal. You know, depending on how fast they hunt you down, like dogs. So that's the World Situation Report for Wednesday.
All righty. Yeah, mic
It
drop.
started on such a positive note, Sunny. You know,
Like, we always try to end on a high note, guys. There you go.
oh, well, we can end on a high note. Let's see what else is going on. Spring. It's spring in the Northern Hemisphere. That's nice.
Well, what is nice is getting rid of the guys that are causing all the issues, right? And like you said, the people will be protected. And I think that
Yep.
that's the main thing to get. Well, we're not trying to hurt the people. We don't want, anything bad to happen to the people. But these bad people are standing in the way and, causing all sorts of issues. So
Yeah.
that is a good thing. Get the
They're,
bad people
they're,
out, save the people.
they're forcing our hand.
Right.
They're forcing our hand at this point. It's getting to a very critical point here in the U.S. They are trying to speed up the process as fast as they can, make sure every bank burns to the ground and all of that. They're really, really working hard at that. They realize we're coming hot and heavy for them, and they are out of time. And they have ramped everything up to the nth degree as of today.
Yeah.
But it's the beginning of the end of the order. It's the beginning for us, the people. So play, don't play, we're going to play one way or another. And if you keep forcing our hand like this, we're going to have to make some tough decisions that are going to make for an extremely painful 48 hours for couple billion people. But we'll pull out of it.
Right.
We will pull up. If we make it, we can break it. Unlike them. The only thing they're full of is hot air and promises they never deliver on. But we deliver every time. But I can't really do anything at this moment to have a transitional government in the US when I'm competing against a bunch of old Chinese people that think they, are going to make them the next, Jesus incarnate number 85.
Right.
I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Or Satan or whatever.
Right.
So, in a positive front, we did find we found a lot about Citadel, some remaining things from the SES and banking. They should not have been able to put our funds on hold. That is not possible anymore coming from either one of these groups, the Knights of Malta, a new order that you may have never heard of, the Order of the Golden Fleece. They were in Thailand blocking us as well. So we've found access points, by doing this, exercise that we went through. And it's helped us tremendously, kind of fish out the cockroaches. So we'll be doing more fishing, this afternoon and tomorrow, and see who else we can pull out of the woodwork. And so we'll see what, China decides to do. It's not the Chinese people. It's, there's plenty of lovely people from China. The country itself is beautiful. I had on my bucket list forever to go down the entire Yangtze River, the Yellow River. It's beautiful country out there. But for the love of God, you've got some horrible deep state people. And you think the US deep state people are bad? Oh, no. Those people are crazy. They're not even making any sense. They literally are, those people that end up in the mental institutions, like they think they're the Jolly Green Giant or something from the, and then they, eat the checkers and stuff. That's what you've got over there. And the whole world's taking orders from those people without any macro or microeconomic experience whatsoever, without any military experience whatsoever. The only thing they're doing is repeating the same things that worked in the past, and expecting it to work again. But you actually have an enemy now, see? That's the thing. You have an entire military force against you. And myself strategizing against you every single day. Where every day, all day, and sometimes all night, but it's working. What we're doing over here is working. We clearly beat through your whole system. We're sitting there right as it's about to hit your website in your app, your phone app. That's where we're sitting right now. We're right there at the very end in what we call level 1 in computers. We're right there. NSA is still trying to pull one out of their hat, and they're not even getting in anymore. We are getting so clean and so tight that funding and everything else is imminent, which is why they sped up their process this morning.
Sure.
And it has everybody running around now like chickens with their head cut off. We're all going to die. No, we're not all going to die. We're all going to be fine. I have complete and total faith and source. Tried to push those words together. That if I just keep working as hard as I possibly can, and everyone keeps focusing their consciousness and their prayers to the Creator, that we make it through this road or down this road unharmed, and we are abundant. We are ever abundant, regardless of what those horrible people do, that we will come out strong. We'll come out strong. And there's nothing that's going to stop that from coming through at the exact moment it needs to. Nothing. Nothing will stop it. No agency, no cabal people, no Chinese people, no American people. No one is going to stop it when that moment comes. If it comes to that, I have complete and total faith that it will happen.
Right.
So we're all going to be okay. Don't mind the chaos. It's going to get ugly over there for the deep state. I know there's some meetings going on down the street here today. Heard them all come in one after the other, after the other, after the other. We'll see what happens. I'm going to put on my favorite camo leggings and, in case no, I'm just kidding. I'm not. I'm going to go back to work is what I'm going to do. But I look forward to doing the news on Monday and seeing you, Miss Sunny. So, so I'm excited. I hope that you find some wonderful stuff too, and we'll have even more shows going out, more people coming on board, and I'm really super excited for the future of UNN. So, but UN total, United Network.
UN and UNN.
Yeah, UN 1N TV.
There you go. Me too.
All right. Have a wonderful day, Wednesday. And enjoy the beautiful weather. Hopefully it's nice weather where you are.
Okay.
And we'll see you Friday.
We'll see you Friday. Thanks, Kim.